Good day, my friends. Good day. Welcome to this, our thing of ours for Wednesday, June the 26th, Common Era 2024. Let me remind you that it is 132 days until the election. 132 days. Now, I don't want to tell you how to get upset or to get worried or to be concerned, but be worried and very concerned. This is not a joke. This is serious. And if you watch the usual things that you hear on the various cable news outlets, if you listen to conventional, prototypical, dare I say, terrestrial talk radio or the usual suspects, they're going to talk about things like the debate, and they're going to focus this on you as though it matters, as though it's important, as though it's critical, as though it's anything. And it's not. I mean, it is, but it isn't. When you ask people the question, what is the purpose of the debate? What is it? What does it matter? What is it? What is the debate? What does it do? People can't answer it because they've never thought about it. I know. Imagine that. Never thought about that. What is a debate? Is it a debate? Is it the classic Oxford forum style, or what is the debate? What is it? What does it stand for? What are you trying to accomplish? Well, we don't get to that. We don't have debates in this country. We don't have them. They don't exist. What we do is we have the chance to hope somebody says something stupid so that we can troll them, or somebody has an untoward moment, says something that's funny or what have you. And we maybe can then troll them. We can use it and put them into a meme, and we'll laugh about it, like we did years ago when, I don't know, the great Dan Quayle. Remember when we thought Dan Quayle was stupid? Do you remember that? We actually thought Dan Quayle was stupid. People really thought that Dan Quayle, because he didn't spell potato right, or potatoes, or it was one of those things where we thought, wow, Dan Quayle is Richard Feynman compared to these people. And it's something which I cannot put into words other than as I've stated. So we're going to be talking about this. Also, some APAC has now crossed the blood-brain barrier, and apparently the rules of commentary in our country allows us to say APAC. Jamal Bowman lost to this fellow Latimer, who, as my friend says, looks exactly like the Gilgo Beach alleged serial murderer. It's really true. And they say APAC backed. They're saying this now. Most people in the news don't realize this because of the fact that many of them know. Oh, but they're talking about an event. I was watching a very interesting show by this young man whose name is Sagar Angetti. He's on the show called Breaking Points. And there was a particular date that he was talking about regarding the 11th day of the 9th month of 2001. And it was very interesting because it he didn't understand it. And I'm sorry, he was 9 years old during that day. We'll talk about that. A new Germany citizenship requires that you must pledge fealty to Israel if you get a passport in Germany. Fealty to Israel. So just get ready. We're going to be talking about that and a host of things more. Let me remind you, please, to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you are paying attention. Make sure you are with us and listen carefully to these incredible words from our sponsor. 2 million people were hit in a massive debt collection data breach. The most valuable pieces of personal information to hackers were exposed, including full names, birth dates, and social security numbers. What's worse is that the hackers had unauthorized access to this debt collection database for over a week, nearly guaranteeing that they got every piece of information they could ever want on you. That's why I protect my personal data with today's sponsor, Virtual Shield One. And I absolutely love the security I get with them. Virtual Shield One helps protect my personal data, browsing history, and internet activity from data breaches like this one. It does this by continuously scanning the dark web, and it helps to erase my data anywhere it finds it. That's why my private data is better protected against cyber criminals, tech corporations, or ISPs. Plus, Virtual Shield One includes up to $1 million in identity theft protection insurance. So I know my data is safe. Every day, 3.8 million people have their personal records stolen from data breaches. Use Virtual Shield One to help prevent yourself from being one of them. Thanks again to Virtual Shield One for sponsoring Lionel Nation. Be sure to sign up by visiting virtualshield.com/Lionel, or simply use my link in the description below, because every sign up with that link gets up to 67% off with a 60-day risk-free trial. Give yourself the gift of peace of mind. Now, my friends, again, we're going to talk a little bit about the debate, which is tomorrow night. It's going to be interesting to note, to watch. It's going to be fabulous. I'll be watching it. Does it matter? No, but it's just fun to watch. It's just fun to watch. And there were, believe it or not, you may not recall this, but we have one of the best ways to gauge or to judge how a debate will be is to look at prior instances. You may not recall this particular moment from the last debate between Mr. Biden and Trump, but it went something like this.
I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun.
Now, this was the man who was saying this in 2017 when I said he's crazy, and nobody caught on. I shouldn't say nobody, but people said, I said, no. He's crazy. He's crazy. He's crazy. No. He's talking about corn pop and blonde hair. Listen to him. He's showing the function of the executive function of his brain. He's not. No, you don't know it. They didn't get it. When Hillary Clinton was walking around with him out, nobody said anything. She's in an epileptic fugue. She's in some type of a seizure. This is some ischemic attack. No, you don't understand. You're missing the point. You don't see what. Nobody saw it. Nobody got it. Nobody recognized it. It meant nothing. Now, the rules are going to be very, very critical. The rules are critical. And CNN, Jake Tapper, and by the way, it's Dana Bash. They call her Dana. Not that it matters. You would think somebody would have heard her say Dana. That's the way she pronounces it. I don't know why. It's a free country. You can do whatever you want. And during the course of this, when Dana Bash was speaking, there was this view of the rules. Are they going to do anything? Are they going to load this up in favor of President Biden? Well, CNN did release these rules, and this might be of interest to you.
Hello and welcome to the first 2024 presidential debate hosted by CNN. I am Jake Tapper, and somewhere around here is my colleague, Dana Bash.
Dana.
I'd like to set the ground rules to this debate. First off, Biden is allowed to speak whenever he wishes. We will have commercial breaks whenever Biden feels the urge so that his needs can be taken care of. This may or may not include naps, energy boosts, or a snack such as ice cream. On the other hand, Trump is not allowed to speak unless spoken to, and if he interrupts Joe speaking, we're automatically going to deduct 10 points from Trump and Dore. As the hall moderator of this debate, I can call it off at any moment and declare it a complete victory for Biden. Where did Trump go? He was just here.
Hostile takeover. Donald Trump.
And there you have it. And that's pretty much what we want. That's what we're going to be looking for. We're going to be enjoying it. It's meaningless. It doesn't matter. The Democrats are laughing their arse off because you believe it matters. Not you, not you personally, but you, the how do I say this? You, the citizen, believe it to matter. Now, it's going to be interesting. Right now, we have been hearing about and listening to some very, very serious stuff as to Biden's planning, really going through some tough stuff at Camp David, really going through boot camp stuff, trying to stand, so help me God, 90 minutes. To stand for 90 minutes. It will be forgotten within 3 days. It makes no difference whatsoever. It's just fun. Biden is trying everything in his power not to do it. You can better believe they will have some form of medication and the like. By the way, thank you so much, Ms. America Cat. Thank you so much for your kindness. I appreciate that immensely. There will be some form of medication. Any of you folks use Adderall? Anybody? I've never used it before, but we know so many folks. Adults, don't you think, honey? Adults who use Adderall, like you can't believe, for weight loss, more than you can imagine. I will tell you something, and listen to what I'm saying. It's your old Uncle Lenny here. Take it from me. That sounded weird. I don't do this, but I know what I'm talking about. If there was a way that I could take a let's say I had, this was my magic button, and I had the part of my brain that was affected by Adderall, amphetamine-like influences. If I could affect the neuroreceptors, and I could just push this button and feel it, and then push this again to turn it back off, I would do it in a heartbeat. Absolutely, positively. If there's a way for you, if pharmacology, where I didn't have to ingest it, it didn't have to go through my system, did not have to be purified through hepatic turnover and liver and everything. But if I could just do it, absolutely. If I could adjust mood, absolutely, and we'll get there one day. You'll be able to turn up and turn down your mood. Absolutely, guaranteed. You'll be able to turn off appetite. You'll be able to turn down anxiety. You'll be able to turn down lethargy. You'll be able to affect deliberately the reaction that you want without taking anything in your system. You will not have, if you want the effects of heroin, you don't have to go and take in heroin. Now, some people might because whatever, but we will allow this. It'll be a very, very kind of like a USB port or something. We go directly to the part of your brain which affects excitement, lethargy, sleep, whatever, and you adjust it. And you have a little thing in here. This is my Wuzu. I love my Wuzu fan here. I carry this with me. It's the weirdest thing. But you'll have a little thing in your pocket, and you can adjust how you'll feel, like up this. I'm going to be attentive. I'm going to go to a lecture, so I'm going to up the attentive level, and that's it. Raul Rodriguez says, "What should I pay attention to in the debate?" The overall feeling, Raul. It's a very good question. The overall feeling. When you go to a movie, I always say this. I loved The Godfather. What was it about The Godfather that you loved? I don't know. It's everything. It's a little bit of everything. Watch how biased it is. Now, what Trump needs to do, if he can do this, what he needs to do is to figure out a very simple way to know the reaction time. And he's got to be able to write down, because it doesn't really matter what he says. Trump wants to basically disrupt it. Trump wants to do everything in his power to disrupt it. He wants to do everything. He wants you to think, oh my God, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. This is so unfair what they're doing to him. Trump wants to use little words just like Ronald Reagan, where he said, well, there you go again. Remember that? Remember how we loved that? Ronald Reagan, the avuncular great guy. There he was. He was just so sweet. Well, there you go again. So what is he going to do? What's Trump going to do? How does he respond to it? Well, very simple. He's going to be able to know how to say specifically, oh, come on. Jake, please, can you make this a little bit appear to be fake? This is so loaded up. Come on. He can do that. That will throw everything off. He can start saying things like, that's the answer. See, I would go in and I would destroy it because I realized I'm not going to get anywhere in terms of the facts. Americans don't want facts. I don't want to come in there and say crime is up by 22%. But no. I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk about anything in particular. I want to go in and attack him. And believe me when I'm telling you something. I'm going to give you a little trick. I was watching a debate with one of the most horrid persons ever. And this is this guy, Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan's a good guy, but he has this hack show on where he puts all these people together and he hopes that somebody says something stupid. He really does. He hopes that somebody says something stupid. And he was pretty successful because somebody will say something. They had Judge Napolitano on talking about Julian Assange, and nobody even got it. And he has these hacks on these people that he hopes is going to make a big deal. He wants somebody to be upset. He wants someone to say something noteworthy. Okay? You understand something? You understand what I'm saying? And I have done these a million times. And I have been on these shows a million times. And frankly, it goes something like this. If you're ever going to be on a show and you really don't know what to say and you want to try something new, turn to somebody that you're going to be on with and say something like, do me one favor before we begin, sir. Never get their name right, sir. Admit one thing. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're here for your reaction. You're here to say something to blow this up in order to get clicks and metrics. And when they react, say, see, they will never forget you. They will never forget you. So in this debate, he has to turn to Joe and say, is that an answer? Is that what your handlers gave you? Is that what you practice on? That's it. And call out, do everything you can to call out Jake Tapper and Dana and have them come on to say, oh, you're going to jump in? You're going to double team? Our good friend Sparky weighs in. Sparky says, Soros helped CIA and all install NGOs behind the Iron Curtain in the 1980s to foment discord. Soros specialized in Eastern European currency trading, so had useful contacts. They're all associates. Thank you for that. I think you are absolutely correct. But here's the one thing, Sparky, and I appreciate that, and you're 100% correct, my friend. Soros is not of any interest to most of us because you know his name. If you know his name, that's not the main person. If you know their name, if you know a name, if somebody gives you a name, and you say George Soros versus David Koch or whatever it is, that's not the person that we're talking about. And you're 100% correct about that. You're 100% correct. Now, I'm going to change the subject. And by the way, if you've just tuned in, this is the way I do things. And Sparky, this is one for you, which I find fascinating. Sparky, are you aware that yesterday the good people of Germany decided, that was Olaf Scholz decided that they were going to expand the rule for new passports. There was a rule in Germany that said you can't have dual citizenship for first time, whatever it was. Anyway, they've streamlined the passports. Now, Sparky, this one's for you, and this is for you right now. New chapter. You will not be able to get a passport in Germany unless you pledge fealty, in essence, to Israel. Unless you pledge that it has a right to exist. And I'm not sure what that means. I mean, I know what that sentence means, but does that mean that you have to pledge to Zionism? You mean exist as the official Jewish state? I'm not sure. And why does that have to be a part of getting a German passport? Did you see this rule? Remember, we're next. Germany, of course, has the guilt complex of guilt complexes, as you can imagine, during that terrible thing that occurred, from that guy with them. Yeah. And they just, the guilt of this, they just live with it. It's like, okay, I mean, I think there comes a point where you got to say, look, enough. But just like us in slavery, which is a very complicated issue, how do you even begin to explain that? I know this is Germany, but it's a new topic now. But this fascinates me. If you say, hello, yes, my name is Rabbi Shmuel, whatever it is. I show up and I've got the payas, the tzitzis, the kippah, the whole thing. I'm an Orthodox Jew. I'm a Lubavitcher. I'm a whatever. And I am not a Zionist, but I'm a Jew. I'm an Orthodox Jew, but I do not believe in Zionism, or let's assume hypothetically, I do not believe in Israel being the official state. I do not believe in the treatment of Palestinians, whatever it is. Am I anti-Semitic? Do you hear what is going on where somebody could be said, yes, Rabbi, you are anti-Semitic? I mean, do you ever think you'd say that in a sentence? Yes, Rabbi, you are anti-Semitic. This is going on right now. This is going on right now, and it's like, holy moly. Here's another one for you. Here's another one. You're not going to believe this. There was a race yesterday, and Jamal Bowman lost to this fellow named Latimer, who looks, according to my friend, he's a dead ringer, bad pun. He looks like the alleged Gilgo Beach serial killer. It's really true. I mean, it's uncanny. Okay, listen to this one. This is the biggest race ever, the most expensive race in history. And they say why? Because, let me show you this one thing. This is I want to give you this. Oh God, where is this? Basically, they say APAC candidate beats Jamal Bowman. APAC candidate. APAC. APAC. Do you hear what I'm saying? APAC. You're saying, yeah, I heard you. No, you don't understand this. They're saying APAC. Here we go. Is this the one? Yes, here we go. APAC, $70 million sparks debate on foreign intelligence or foreign influence. The American Israel Public Affairs Committee, APAC, this is a Twitter summary, has been criticized for spending a record $17 million on a primary race for a congressional seat, leading to concerns the influence of foreign lobbying in American politics. The spending has sparked debates about the role of money in elections and the impact of special interest groups on democracy. Critics argue that APAC's actions undermine the democratic process, whatever. This is one of the biggest stories. Now they say $20 million. $20 million. It's incredible. There is a piece from APAC, and you've got to see this. They have a meme or a graphic. It says all 90 APAC endorsed Democratic candidates have won their primary races in 2024, and it says being pro-Israel is good policy and good politics. Question for you: do you have any problem with that, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Does that in any way enter your intellectual wheelhouse? If we have something called the American, I don't know, I don't know what the corollary would be, but if France, for example, had a huge infusion of monies from the United States, do you think they might say, wait a minute, we're having our elections affected by a foreign government? I promise you that subject will not be brought up during the debate. I promise you. Now, the good news is I despise Jamal Bowman. This was the fellow who pulled the fire alarm. Who was an educator who said, I confused a door with a fire alarm. I didn't know what it was. I don't know how this thing, I confused a door with a fire alarm. No, it was at the time of the vote to interrupt or to prevent a spending from being interrupted. So what he did was he pulled a fire alarm. Why is that important? Because what he did was he committed, in essence, by virtue of what he did, he committed insurrection, seditious conspiracy, because he interfered with governmental processes and the like, which is exactly what happened during January 6th. He pled guilty to a misdemeanor, did a $1,000 fine, and wrote a letter of apology to the Capitol Police. I despise Jamal Bowman. He had everybody but AOC, Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton. He lost big time because he's a moron. He's a jadrul in addition to everything else. Plus, he claims that, you got it, that Latimer was racist because a flyer showed him out to be darker in pigment, more darkly pigmented, and therefore he's racist. This is the old OJ thing. The guy does everything. He came about in 2020 after that domestic terror, the domestic riots, after that criminal and thug George Floyd was accidentally dispatched during an arrest while he was high and most probably overdosed on fentanyl, and who was elevated through this weird apotheosis, through this street corner canonization to, status of whatever it is. Okay, fine. He's a cretin. He's a profane thug. This is Bowman. Listen to his vile language. It's F and F and F and F. And believe me, I am not a church, but the same thing goes for, there's this criminal, like this street corner, thuggish, rude, obstreperous way of speaking that I despise. Well, anyway, good for him. So APAC, if you're responsible, terrific. But here's the deal. He claimed to be anti-Israel, but it was in the most, if I didn't know better, I would think Israel or APAC put him in and actually promoted him as the exemplar of anti-Israel lunacy. Okay, so he's gone now. Many, many aspects of this. The good news is Cori Bush is coming up. Ilhan Omar is coming up. Cori Bush out of Missouri. Ilhan Omar out of Minnesota. You have other groups who are. Boebert made her thing. She's a lunatic. The Republicans are. These are not great folks. Boebert. What I'm going to say to you, you're going to absolutely freak out over. But are you that impressed with Marjorie Taylor Greene? To me, she's an interesting political counterpoint, but she's no masterful legislator, nor is that creepy guy, keep an eye on him, Matt Gaetz. Oh, they're not done with him. But not to give you too many plates to spin simultaneously. The question mark is, what do you think about this? What about Germany? I know we're not German, but telling somebody they've got to pledge fealty to Israel when you're moving. I'm German. Israel's great, wonderful people, great. What do I have? What if I don't believe that Israel has the right to exist? What if I don't believe that France has the right to exist? What are we going to have a pledge here for that white people are superior, or that America is a Christian country? Do you see where this is going? If you think this is just going to stay in, and listen, you might not care. You might say, I don't care. Israel finds a good bunch. My beef is not as much with Israel as it is with a foreign nation. Why am I paying any amount of attention to what a foreign nation state does? It's incredible. I can't believe this. Now, before we begin, I'm going to tell you about my friend Sagar. And I love these folks, and I love this. He was 9 years old on 9/11 when it happened. 9 years old. And not that that means anything. I wasn't even born during the Civil War. I know a little bit about that, or World War II, or World War I for that matter. You don't have to be born on the date. But I'm going to tell you this wonderful thing that he said about this one particular date. I think I've just mentioned that, because you got to be careful, because these algorithms, they hear what you say and they take it out of context in any event. But before we do that, let me first of all thank you again for being here, my friends. But let me remind you very specifically of a dear friend of ours, a great man by the name of Mike Lindell, and this great product called MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. All right, dear friends, it's time yet again to hail and salute our great friends at MyPillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you get a free gift. No purchase necessary. And yes, I know, a free gift. It's a tautology. So sue me. But first, listen. Check out their $25 extravaganzas. Listen to this. Premium MyPillows, King and Queen, MyPillow 2.0, MyPillow bed sheets, the lowest prices ever, sandals, slides, and slippers, 6-piece towel sets, 4-pack dish towel sets, simply and absolutely the best. It is unbelievable. So go to mypillow.com/Lionel or call 800-645-4965 and watch how fast Mike answers the phone. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel, MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel, simply the best, simply and absolutely the best. All right, my friends, I got to tell you this latest one. And this was so terrific, because I really love these folks. And I love the new iterations of folks. I like the Briannas and even the Katie Halpers and others who may or may not, it's not about Israel per se, but they're younger, and Crystal, and a lot of them tend to be pro-Palestinian, but their take is so fascinating, because they are the new version of what news is. And they miss this incredibly important thing. And I want to give you this concept of something. And let me read it to you. Or not read it to you. I should tell you about this first. And it's very, very simple. And it's very interesting. And it deals with the idea of what is and what isn't, dare I say, the truth and how the truth is presented. By presenting, and listen to what I'm saying, when you present some true and useful information, a source can gain credibility, which can be then leveraged and used to disseminate disinformation if desired. The idea is that I use an information that forms just a little bit of the truth, and I make it sound like there's been this great revelation, and then you'll say, "Wow, that's great! Yes, we fought the government for this, and we fought them, and we had to do a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, and they finally came back, and we won, and they didn't want us to know this. Oh my God." And Sagar was talking about this recent revelation of some Saudi Arabia guy in Washington taking videos of certain key and strategic parts of Washington, the Capitol and whatever. And that this is like, aha, see what happens? See, this is critical because this deals with the 253rd day of the year 2001. And that these people may be involved because of the, oh, I see. So what you're saying is that, oh, that's interesting. And he goes into it, and therefore we knew that this was not necessary, that this was an extrapolation of the truth, and maybe we didn't have to go to the war. I'm thinking, Sagar, you're falling for this. You don't know what you're saying. Sparky says and weighs in and notes, Hillary Clinton called Trump a Putin. They won't even a Putin puppet in a debate. Trump could have mentioned uranium and dunked as uranium. Oh, Uranium One, yes, was a recent financial front page story. Yes, Uranium One. Remember that one? Remember Yellow Cake? Trump missed the layup. Oh, Sparky. Trump makes some silly mistakes. Trump still was responsible, as you know, dear friend, for being responsible for that idiot move to indict Assange. I missed this one. Allies gave the part of Germany where Werner von Braun was born to Poland. Why didn't they give part of Germany to European Jews instead of stealing Palestine? Ooh. Boy, you are good. That's very good. You do, Sparky, have you ever felt, maybe you know this as well, but when you talk to friends of yours, they have no idea what you're saying. They have no idea what you're saying. You know that, right? Hang on a minute. Why am I having such a difficult time with this? Hang on. Why? Okay, hang on a minute. No. Okay, there we go. Have you noticed that whenever you, maybe there's something that you do, but everybody that I know, all of my friends and the like, if you mention anything about what's going on regarding Netanyahu coming here, nothing. And they're going to be doing the same thing regarding Netanyahu when there's going to be protests, obviously. Are they going to be using the same iteration of charges regarding people? Is this an insurrection? But let me go back to what I'm saying. But thank you, sir. Do you remember a while back when somebody said, hey, I think there's something to UFOs? UFOs are the best one. And we'll just use that term. UAVs, UFOs. Okay. So what they did was they said, we filed this FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, and we got a picture of the Tic Tac, this kind of a thing. It's like, oh, that Tic Tac thing. Yes, that Tic Tac thing. Oh my God. They tried to keep it from us. Ooh, but we got it. Yeah. Okay. So we're done with that. Yeah. Thank you. Woo! Glad we got that. Well, what is that tic tac or the gimbal? That's the other one. What does that show you? I don't know. But they fought us on it, and they said, okay, reluctantly, we'll give the information to you. I've been fascinated by JFK since the beginning of time. And whenever somebody tries to weigh in on that, they will point to something and they'll say, well, you do know that Mac Wallace might have been responsible for the murder of LBJ's sister, Josepha. What? Wow. What does that tell you? Nothing. It's a bit of information. And what I love to do with Sagar is say, listen, my friend, stick with the forensic stuff. Recently, a good friend of mine, Richard Gage, appeared on Patrick Ben-David. You ever watch that Valuetainment? It's the funniest show because Patrick is very good at making it sound as though what he's saying is really important. He'll say, we're talking today with Sammy the Bull. Sammy, is there a particular point of your time when you realized as a young man that perhaps maybe the individuals that you grew around that you looked up to may in fact have been members of the underworld? And it's like, Sagar, what do you? I mean, not Sagar. Patrick, PBD. What? And then he also has folks. I don't watch it that much, but he has like comics or something back him up. That's also a sign I can't do it by myself. Lex Friedman doesn't need any help. Joe Rogan doesn't need any help. Most people do not need any help. You don't need people carrying their way like, let's bring in the comic. No. Do this on my own. It's like whenever in the talk radio, they always team you up. They destroy the chemistry. In any event. So we had on Richard Gage, and Richard Gage was talking about thermite and everything. I'm thinking, oh, this isn't going to work because they're just not getting it, and they don't want to get it. And it's just like Sagar and others, they really don't want to go there. So do me a favor. As to this particular date that we're talking about, 23 years ago, do us a favor. Do everybody a favor. Don't bother with this. Just Candace Owens also really goes. She goes, when I was in junior high or something, there was a show called Loose Change. And I mean, it was. I said, Candace, please. This ain't your thing. You don't want to go there because you got to get into the forensics and the specifics, and you don't want to go there. Talk about it in general, but move on. The country doesn't want to talk about it. America doesn't want to know about this stuff. You are becoming a limited hangout. You are entering like, look at this. They revealed this guy who was taking pictures. What about the quote? You remember the dancing Israelis? Remember that one? Anybody who remembers that moment? Let me give you an example of something. Sometimes you got to talk about some things, really. And this is what I want to tell Sagar or one of these other guys. Let's talk about JFK for a moment. And this is a good, by the way, this is not a diversion. This is a good teaching tool. If you had to show one piece of information, one little thing where people would say, what? Just one. I would do one thing. The entrance bullet in the windshield and how it was immediately taken after this event, where the car was taken to the factory in Michigan and fixed. The bullet hole, which shows a front entering wound, completely inconsistent with Lee Harvey Oswald in the back. That's it. You want to start with it? Let's see what Sparky has to say. Sparky says, you're right about the if you know their names thing. Met some of them after Berlin Wall came down. They were old and had some regard for commoners. Their grandchildren think of commoners as drones. Yes. The people who are the most important, as you know, are people you'll never know of. And Sparky, and you were in the military on our side, and thank you for your service. If you know the organization, they weren't involved. There's nobody from the CIA. I like these people all of a sudden who says, well, I'm an ex-CIA. Really? Really? You're ex-CIA and you're here telling people about what you did? Well, here's how we follow people. Here's what in the CIA when we really. and you want me to believe that you're legit. Okay. It's like I mentioned this last night. Mob story. That's right. When Joe Watts, it's like, wait a minute. Maybe I look stupid to you, but if you know the name of something, that's not the group. Let me tell you the best one I ever talked to. One of the best groups of people I ever spoke with, ever, were people involved in what we would call the IRA. And I remember speaking to a number of great folks, great New Yorkers, Irish from the North. And I'll never forget, one said, well, it was the way the mafia, or the LCN that should have run. He said, well, we're not really sure who's who. There wasn't a roll call. We're not sure. You never told somebody. It was need to know and compartmentalize. You weren't a part of Barracks 3, Platoon 1 of the, I mean, if you were involved in a particular operation, yeah, but other than that, you didn't have meetings. And you could sit there and say, I don't know. I don't have to be part of the higher, when McGinnis and Jerry Adams and other people, the mothers and fathers. So one time, this fellow told me, he said that when there was a particular event that took place, he would show up and he was looking for somebody who was wearing something. Like we have here in New York, color of the day. They used to have undercover cops on the subway. They wear the color of the day so cops wouldn't shoot each other. They had no idea who was who. And he was telling me years, he goes, to this day, he says, I know some folks who were involved, but how big the IRA, the provisional IRA, goes, I don't know. We didn't have roll call. We didn't have a meeting. We didn't have a button. We didn't have a reunion. We never talked about it. And if you did talk about it, years later, there were people still talking about Enigma. Or excuse me, who wouldn't talk about it later on. But yeah, we're talking about all these people talking about people that they whacked on these organized crime platforms. I don't get it. So going back to what you said, Sparky, the people who were involved in it, no. You'll never know. You see, whenever you talk about this particular event that happened 23 years ago, remember the line from Marshall McLuhan. Little lies are hard to keep secret, but big lies are easy because of our incredulity. We are shocked at that something could ever take place. So we can't believe it. We just can't. What? Good. You did what? You mean there are people? No. That's what I want. That's what I want. Now, everybody knows the story with JFK, but what version? So let me go back. Let me circle back to what I said. Whether you're talking to Patrick Ben-David, when you're talking about this particular date, when you're talking about Israel, when you're talking about anything, you have to start with something that's very simple. Let me give you a story. When it comes to JFK, how was there a bullet round in the front of the windshield? Did you ever hear about that one? No. People who study it did. They took the car and they took it to the Ford Motor plant and they replaced the windshield. There was also a part of the top, might have been more than one, because the shot numbers don't jibe. People can't, how do we say this? People cannot handle the idea of not knowing something. Do you know who? Let me give you the question. I'm going to give you a name. And I'm going to tell you, just answer me yes or no. Who is Thane Eugene Caesar? It's probably one of the most important names ever. Thane Eugene Caesar. Have you ever heard this name before? Anybody? And I'm not trying to be one of these smart asses, but Do you have any idea who it is? Anybody? Anybody here? Thane Eugene Caesar. Ever hear this story? This is the most important names. Anybody? Bobby Kennedy knows. He knows that name. He is, in many circles, believed to be RFK's assassin. He was from Ace Security. He was the guard. He was the patrol guard, police guard. Bobby Kennedy mentioned it. And in RFK assassin theories, they go, that's the guy. How could that be kept? How do you know Sirhan, and never known that? Never know, who is this person? I can keep anything from you. I can keep anything from you. I can divert your attention. I can change the course of anything you want. Anything. Anytime, I can change the subject right as we're speaking, and you will think I'm answering the question, but I'm not. I will change it. Change the direction. That's what happens right now. And that's what's going on. You're being given information, but it's not really information. It's not data. So let me go back to what I'm saying. You need information. You need stuff. I would, on my private channel, I do what I've talked about in depth, but right off the bat, I want to tell somebody something that is so, how did I not know this kind of a thing? Like the windshield. Most people never heard of it. That blows a whole theory. Lone gunman, he's from the back. Lee Harvey Oswald cannot put a bullet through the windshield when he's in behind as a car. It can't be done. There you go. That's the story. That's it. That's a conspiracy. Somebody else involved. That's it. We start from there. Forget Mac Wallace. Forget Alan Dulles. And forget all this stuff. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Start with that one. And when it comes to that particular date, go to Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Start with that story. It's the best story there is. And people will say, how did this slip by you? Because you think you know what's going on. Let me give you an example of something. Yeah, that's not Jack. I like that. We'll get into the brain, and it's a good point. I want very simply important. I want you to remember something. When you are dealing with what's going on October the 7th, let me tell you specifically what I would tell everybody who goes out there, not necessarily trying to obfuscate the truth, but people trying to deliver a version of the truth, which is consistent with what many people believe to be this thing, this omnipresent word right now called APAC, the Israeli Political Action Committee. Rule number one. Nothing happened before October the 7th. Nothing. Whenever you're talking about Hamas, but nothing happened before October the 7th. Sparky says, inadvertently met them as the German hotel had a completely separate room for breakfast on a different floor for elites. Long story how I ended up there, but I was there as a consultant. Oh, there you go. And you know what's also funny, Sparky, is that the people who know the most are people who seem to be just kind of ordinary. They just kind of seem to be ordinary. It's very interesting. They just seem to be like regular folks saying regular things. But going through this, like I said, you talk to people and they believe that everything happened October the 7th. They say, do you know what they're saying? No. Do you know the story? Do you know the story of what, by the way, what both sides are happening regarding Gaza prior to that? Have you seen Douglas Murray? Douglas Murray, you must watch this. Watch three or so of his interviews, and that's the script. Everything's scripted. If they say this, you say that. If they say this, you say that. They're very good. Very, very good. If they say, yeah, but what about the people who were killed? it's their fault. It's Gazans' fault because my favorite is, and there was no Palestine. Well, there was no Palestine. There was no country called Palestine. Oh, okay. Well, thanks for going. And by the way, there was no Comanche country. There was no Navajo, Apache. There was no genocide of American Indians, Native Americans, because they didn't have a country. They didn't have a flag. They didn't have a capital. Oh, yeah, where's the Comanche area? What? And you use these tropes and memes every single time. Just like I was watching Piers Morgan, and they said, and I mean that. There we go. Hang on. Here's a better one for you. Hang on. No. Hang on. There we go. They were talking about some things of I've heard this a million times. Excuse me, Piers Morgan. What am I saying? Piers Morgan said, "Don't you understand? Julian Assange is not a hero because somebody was killed. The Taliban took something he said and killed somebody based upon it. So he is not." That old trope? Are you kidding me? That's your argument? Yes, it's my argument. That's your argument? Yes, that's my argument. And they repeat the same thing. So you watch 2 or 3 people and you watch them just listen to the story. So it goes back to this. This is called media perception. This is called intelligence. This is called me shaping the way you think of something. Hold on for 1 second. This is very, very important. Somebody was talking the other day about, I love this notion of food, food that you can purchase or, emergency food. And what they do is there's a group of people who say, that's a good idea. I have a generator in my backyard and I have water. Well, that's pretty good. Another group of people takes it and says, you're crazy. You're a prepper. You're paranoid. You're a conspiracy theorist because you are anticipating or at least preparing for something bad happening, because as we all know in our country, nothing bad happens. Nothing. There's no bad things that happen. You're never going to need food. See how that works? Now, if you think that's a bunch of bunkum, listen to this. It's no longer a question of if something catastrophic is coming, it's when. Now, what are you going to be doing about it to prepare now? Your first step is going to my website, preparewithlionel.com. Preparewithlionel.com. And for a limited time, enjoy their special partner offer. Take $50 off a 4-week or $100 off a 3-month emergency food supply. You decide, but act now. My Patriot Supply is equipped to help you and your family prepare. They've helped over 2 million families already, and they're simply the best. These 4-week starter kits provide over 2,000 calories every day, 16 varieties, 25-year shelf life, breakfast, lunches, dinners, snacks, everything, you name it. And they're sealed inside 2 rugged waterproof buckets and over 31 pounds of food. But the best deal, what I recommend, is the 3-month supply. But anyway, it's your choice, but act now. Take advantage now, and preparewithlionel.com is where you should go. Preparewithlionel.com. It's a very simple thing for you to learn the particular narrative and just repeat it over and over and over again. Let me tell you another story. The way it's being read, and by the way, it's terrific to have Jamal Bowman as the voice of pro-Palestinian or whatever, because he's a jadrul. He's an idiot. But what you are saying is the stories and the allegations that were made in the accounts of horrific mutilation and abuse and assaulting that took place, especially regarding women and others and children on October the 7th, have in many respects, by different sources, been debunked. And I can't sit there and say categorically nothing horrible happened. Nobody's saying that. But some of the more notable narratives have been completely debunked. Absolutely. But that's not to say everything is. No. But people don't know how to compartmentalize. People aren't able to sit there and say, well, okay, this makes sense, but this doesn't work like that. So when you have folks in the media who are saying, if you are smart, this is what you are going to write. I've never seen anything like this regarding Israel. You are never, ever going to even acknowledge that anybody might have a point. You are going to say this, that whenever it was a PLO before, that to use the Abba Ibn line, that the Palestinians have never missed an opportunity to miss an opportunity. That every time somebody gave them a deal, they turned away or violated it, and you're just going to keep saying it. It doesn't really matter. Just say this. Say this over and over and over again. Do not delve into the entire fact basis. Just recognize this. And I got to tell you something. I have absolute and total 100% respect and admiration for any country, group who can go in and completely seize the American government structure by the throat and have them say something. Whether it's the anti-gun movement, the climate change movement, or what have you. I love menticide. I love brainwashing. I love how entire swaths of human beings and countries can be told and made to think something without question. And I mean that. This is some of the best propaganda I have ever seen in my life. And it comes in many forms, from many, many directions, and many, many groups. Okay? Good. So, Sparky, thank you, my dear, dear friend. Thank you so much. Professor Professor Emil, thank you for this as well. And Raul Rodriguez and Ms. Zamara Cat, thank you for your kindness, for your support, and your beauteousness and the like. I mean that sincerely. All right, dear friends, have a great and a glorious day. Please, please, please remember something. I've got a bunch of wonderful videos today. One on Germany, one on that particular date in the year 2001. Lionel Nation members, you get that free. You get it ahead of time. So that's coming up. Also, please follow Mrs. L. Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. Lynn's Warriors. Follow her right now. Lynn's Warriors. Lynn's Warriors. Lynn's Warriors. Lynn's Warriors. Do it. Both YouTube and on, very important, and on Twitter or X as well. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. Don't ever change a mean that sincerely. And until next time, see you tonight at 7. Don't forget, many, many stories dropping. Until then, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you. Dead.